Permit me to take you to the room, to King Nebuchadnezzar's situation room. Let's go. In the book of Daniel, chapter 2, the Bible records a very interesting story. A story that speaks about the past, the future, and even our present time. Daniel chapter 2, the Bible says, "And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar the king, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream wherein his spirit was troubled, and his sleep break from him. Then the king commanded called all the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dream, so that they came and stood before the king." So night fall over Babylon, and everybody retired to bed, even the king Nebuchadnezzar. But his sleep was disturbed by a dream. A dream, the Bible said, that troubled his spirit. The problem is, although he had a dream, King Nebuchadnezzar could not remember his dream. And this is where we're going to enter King Nebuchadnezzar's situation room. So in chapter 2 of Daniel, verse number 3, the Bible continues. "And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syria, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show thee the interpretation thereof." So there we have a situation. A king having a dream, but the king forgot his dream. So now the wise men of Babylon had to tell the king his dream and give him an interpretation for the dream. Now this is impossible. Well, this is why we have a situation. The Bible says in verse number 5, "Then the king answered and said unto the Chaldeans, The thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, you shall be cut in pieces, and your house shall be made a dunghill." So the king immediately offered a threat. And the king said to them, "Listen, if you can't tell me what I dreamt and give me an interpretation, you will be destroyed, your house will be destroyed, your family will be destroyed." What a tight situation. I could imagine, or you could just imagine the atmosphere inside the king's palace, inside the king's situation room. The king's spirit was troubled, and the wise men was now in fear of their life, because King Nebuchadnezzar is threatening them. If you can't tell me my dream and give me an interpretation, your life will be ended, including your family, and your house will be put to the ground. So the death threat was out. The king have made up his mind. And when a king of Babylon tell you that they're going to kill you, you better book your mind to it. You're going to be dead. So now King Nebuchadnezzar is saying to the wise men, if you can't tell me what I dreamt and give me an interpretation, you will be killed. Now you got to understand, Nebuchadnezzar was asking something impossible from these wise men. But you also have to understand that these men were on the king's payroll. They were paid to divine things unto the king. But this situation was quite different. That's why it's a real tight situation room. The Bible continues. The book says in verse number 6, "But if you show me the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof." Then answered again and said, "Let the king tell thy servants the dream, and we will show thee the interpretation of it." Now it is quite fair and fitting. Well, for me, personally speaking, it is quite fair and fitting, if you want an interpretation to your dream, to tell the dream. But you see, this dream was not any ordinary dream. This was a dream given to the king by God. In one night, God showed Nebuchadnezzar the future in a panoramic scene, the future of the world. And so this is why the wise men of Babylon they that did not have that connection with God could not tell the king what he dreamt and to give him an interpretation. So now they are trying to buy some time. But listen to what the king said to them. Then in verse 8, the Bible says, then the king answered and said, I know of a certain that you would gain the time, because you see the thing is gone from me. But if you will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you, for you have prevailed a lying and corrupt words to speak before me. What is King Nebuchadnezzar saying to the wise men? King Nebuchadnezzar said, because the decree or the death decree is out, you're trying to stall. You're trying to buy time to postpone the death decree. But my word is final. And if you can't tell me what I dream, there is just one decree, and that is death. So here the wise men found themselves in a situation, a very tight situation, that they will not be able to get out of if God do not intervene. In verse number 10, here is what the wise men said to the king. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, or ruler that asks such things of any magician or astrologers or Chaldeans. They're actually saying to the king, what you're asking, O king, is impossible. What you're asking is very difficult. You are the one that had the dream. All you had to do is tell us the dream and we give you the interpretation. But we cannot tell you what you dreamt last night. In verse number 11, and the Bible says, and it was a rating that the king required, and there is none other that can show this matter to the king except the gods whose dwelling is not in the flesh. So the wise men were onto something. Although they say the gods whose dwelling is not in the flesh, they knew above the gods that they served, there was a God. They knew that there was somebody bigger than their God. They knew that outside of King Nebuchadnezzar's situation room, outside of King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, outside of what they believe, there is something greater, someone greater, and that person is God, the creator of the universe. But they did not have that relationship with God, so God will not step in and unfold the mystery to them. So here we are, still in King Nebuchadnezzar's situation room. What will happen after is only left for you and I to discover. In verse 11, the wise men said to the king, you're asking a rare thing. You're asking a difficult thing. You're asking us to do something that is impossible to do, humanly speaking. Here's what the king responded and said. Verse number 12, the Bible says, and this caused the king was very angry and furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men in Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and that they sought Daniel and his fellow to be slain also. So Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, though they were not present in the king's situation room, they were numbered among the wise men. And because of the response of the other wise men, the Bible said that the king was furious, and the decree went out immediately, and the command was given to destroy all the wise men. Let me ask you something. What do you do when the odds are against you? What do you do when it seems as though there is no way to turn? What do you do when those that are there to help you cannot help you? What do you do when your family is in a crisis and you seem not to be able to find the answer? Who do you turn to? Where do you go? I want to let you know, you can do like David. David, when he was in his tied up situation. David, when he was faced with trouble. David, when his life was in danger. David says in Psalms 121, I lift my head unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from God. I want to declare to you today, like King Nebuchadnezzar, you might be in a tough situation. You might be in a situation where governments can't help you. You might be in a situation where family and friends cannot help you. But I want to let you know, you can receive help from God. All you have to do is to surrender to Him, is to call to Him. You may be like the wise men, not having the answer to life's problem. Could I tell you today that God has all the answers to life problem, even the most difficult ones? God has the answer and have the solution. So what happened in King Nebuchadnezzar's situation room could very well be your situation right now. But your situation can be resolved if you turn to God, if you lift your head unto Him and call on Him. He can definitely help you out of your situation. Why don't you take your problems to the hands of God?